Hey, wrong 7 event. It's Mad, along with Goo, and we're going to talk about the Dragon Quest 7 event. It's a very big event, and I'm going to try to go into uh, the overview and details to help you out because there is a lot of events with a lot of specialized battles, and so I want to help you, so stay tuned. What we're going to do is I'm going to first talk about the first two units and the A units as well. And we're just going to kind of go over that, and I'll go over the other ones before they become available. But the first one here is Maribel. She is a hero mage, increases frizz power by 10%. In all honesty, her specialty is she has long range compared to others, which is very positive and negative for her because she does not have more than 2 movement. So she can actually lose her Maribel Fire skill depending on the speed of the enemies. So, all in all, she's an interesting unit. Her big weakness is she doesn't have super large power compared to some of the other heroes, but she does have range and she doesn't have a lot of movement. All in all, I feel she is the weakest of all the units. Maybe second weakest, depending on how you feel about Orgodemir human form. But Maribel Fire has a range 4, inflicts first spell damage. Nothing super special other than the fact that it's got 4 instead of 3 for range. Swooshmore inflicts very large swoosh damage on all enemies. And Firebird has a large frizz non-reflective spell damage, which is very nice because it has good range and it ignores reflect. So it kind of treats it as a quote-unquote physical hit, even though it uses spell or wisdom as its power source. Increases frizz power by 10% is her leadership effect, which is okay. I'd be more excited for her if it was 15% instead of 10. I believe Baramos kind of was a little too powerful and they backed off on that, which is a shame. Her awakening skill, she reduces MP and increases power for spells. It's useful, but once again with some of the units that are coming up, and we just had Overkilling Machine, I don't highly suggest that you go too hard for Maribel. Unless if you like her, then obviously that's your call. She also has whoosh resistance plus 25%, Firebird, Purgatory, 3rd and 5th, and Sam resistance 25%. Next one is Ruff. He is by far the better unit of the first 2 banners. He increases the physical power of Whoosh by 20%. Works very, very well, obviously, with Lionheart. And in a couple months, Lionheart's going to get upgraded as well. Ruff is by far the, as I said, better of the 2 units. And if it wasn't for Orgodemir demon form, who's going to be the last unit at the end, he would be by far the best. But the demon form is a little better. So I'm going to try and save up for some of my pulls on that end as well. So there's 2 good units, one good, one really good unit coming out on the DQ7 event. His first skill is Rolling Wind Claw. It's a 165 whoosh physical to all enemies across him, rarely lowers defense. Second one is White Wolf Thrust, 280% physical damage to all enemies, non-elemental. And the third one is Wolf Wind, 250 whoosh physical to all enemies in the fan. He has movement of 4 always. He is a very fast unit. His big weakness is he is not very durable. Um, so he is good at arena um, because of his 4 speed, but his negative in arena is he is 65. So there are catches, pluses and minuses to him. If he wasn't 65 weight and only 50 weight, he would be higher rated. But that 65 weight does hurt him in arena. The first awakening skill increases attack and agility for the first 3 turns. Makes him an absolute madman early on. Hence why it sucks he's a hero in the arena. Otherwise, I think he might have been better than Orgodemir. But Whoosh Resistance, second, Zam, fourth, and third and fifth is Wolfwind and Fenrir attack power. Remember, heroes do not get a skill that they can learn. You can teach them. Instead, they get their 4th skills. I'll go over that in their specific reviews later, probably tomorrow. Orgodemir, human form and demon form, I'm not going to go over. They're not coming out until at least week 2 and week 4, most likely. I will have them out before that they get summoned. But the A unit here for the heroes is Pandora's Box. Very interesting unit. Good stats. Especially since what it does is it is not really a damage unit, even though Numb Blow and Iron Flangs with 416 attack can actually do some pretty good damage, especially for an A unit. This is a debuffing machine. Its leadership effect is 5% enemy reduction in attack, which is good because its big weakness is it has a very low defense. Sweet Breath will occasionally put 2 enemies to sleep if they line up correctly. Numb Blow and Iron Fangs are 195% damage, and the first one can paralyze, the second one reduces defense significantly. Suggested skill is to add another debuff like Reduce Attack or Dazzle. Basically, just make it the debuffing machine. The leadership skill is not super useful, but can be required if it's like if you are only allowed to use A units and you need to reduce enemy attack. It can work. There's just better ones out there. It has uses. Its agility is good enough where you can start picking off some stuff. Its movement is poor. I'm not going to say, whoa, we got to get this, especially because this is a Sakachi unit, but it is both for Maribel and Ruff. But all in all, it's a pretty good unit. I'd rate it above average, but not like in the top 10. But if I am looking for debuffs, this is going to be one of the better choices. Oh, I do have a Orgodemir here. I'm going to go through all of them. I do apologize. I forgot I actually did all this. So his leadership is reduce his spell consumption by 15%. His human form is still boss, and he is a magic user. I'm going to be honest, this and Maribel are very disappointing. Orgodemir might actually be worse than Maribel, and that is pretty bad. His first skill, Devil's Heart, will occasionally confuse one enemy and increase their damage taken. It could be a range of 1 through 3, so it's pretty good overall for that. Actually, the confuse and increases damage taking is nice, but it's only one enemy, especially since it's a boss. You would expect a little bit more out of him. Prison Flame inflicts breathtaking frizz damage and rarely increases damage being taken. This is probably, if this was the third skill and you could level it up by an additional 10%, I would think that this would have a better one. It does a very nice breath damage. It is kind of like Dragon Lord True Forms in that regards, except for the fact that it is not the last skill. And that's what's disappointing. The last one, Psycho Spark, has the X pattern and randomly inflicts 8 small spell damage on all enemies as non-elemental. It is very disappointing that this is the third skill. As I say, if Prison Flame was the third skill, I think Orgodemir human form, or just Orgodemir here, would be a much better unit. Prison Flame is really the best skill out of the bunch, but honestly, if you have Dragon Lord True Form, he's just a better unit overall, even though Orgodemir is, honestly, 5 months ahead of him? And that's why Orgodemir to me is pretty disappointing. His first awakening skill, if HP below 20%, recover all HP once. This is a fairly risky skill. He does have some HP, but like in Arena, once again, one of the bigger ones that you might use it for, it's really risky. And in PvE, once again, 20% doesn't leave an awful lot. He's got roughly 800 HP, so if you're going to go there, that leaves 160 HP as a gap, and that's if he's fully 5-hearted, which I do not suggest. If he's 4-hearted, he only has, or 1-hearted for this skill, he's only got about 100 HP that he's going to survive, and if it was 30%, and I know that's only 10% more, but that is a lot more to kind of keep alive, I think it would work much better. Obviously, you could probably tune him to get it to work once. It's an interesting mechanic, but not sold on it. Second is whoosh resistance. Fourth is Zam. Third and fifth is obviously Psycho Power plus 5. And now the summable unit is Pink Panzer, which is a fantastic name. Actually, it's probably one of the best Dragon Quest names, and there's a lot of good ones of them out there. Its first skill, Flash Heat, is a 105% his physical damage to all enemies around it. Pretty normal, decent skill overall. Second skill is Swoosh, which is just a normal whoosh damage, magic damage to all enemies. A little surprising it has magic, but you know what? That's what it has, so that's what we're going to get. And the third one is Paralyze Slash, which is 175% physical damage on all enemies, and sometimes will paralyze them. If you could paralyze them with the Paralyze Slash, you can add an Assassin Fang, which will do some additional damage and or death. But it's not a great unit. Its leadership effect is incredibly niche at increased paralyzed success by 10%. I mean, it's really, really needed. And another issue I have with this unit is its wisdom is really poor. So why are we getting a magic spell on a unit that is obviously much better physical? If you're going to do, just add a physical elemental attack of either Crackle, Frizz, or Zap. All in all, if you need to paralyze, or like the enemy is weak to paralyze, then the Pink Panzer is going to be useful. Outside of that, it's an okay unit. Don't really have much. Else to say here. Here's the real prize, though, is Demon King or Orgodemir. It reduces enemy attack power by 20%. The leadership effect might be the worst thing about him, and it's great. I prefer being more offensive, but Demon King is great for PvE with this leadership effect. Its first skill, Magic Claw, for his physical damage, and can reduce power for 1 turn 44 MP consumption, large range, large AoE, reduces power on top of his own leadership effect, can really neuter a lot of teams, um, especially in PvE. But the next skill is even more PvE awesome and can be good for in arena as well. But Demon King is a little better at PvE. Is he has Heaven and Earth, which gives 400% physical damage to bosses and 250% power to other units. So if you notice that the map is going to have a lot of boss power question mark units, then wow, this guy just destroys them. Don't really have much else to say. Demon King, though, is a great, great, great unit for PvE. The last one, Horrible Shock, 250% physical damage to all enemies, and can lower Zam resist for 2 turns, which then adds on even more damage to them the next turn. I love the kit, love the power. First Awakening's movement +1, so he gets 3 movement. Zam and Zap resistance, and obviously the Horrible Shock power +5%, or 10% for 3 and 5 for the others. And I'm going to say, all in all, very top end. Surprisingly, Terrahawk with the Demon King is actually a pretty good unit. And for Dragon unit users, is actually a very, very good unit as well. First skill is Confuse with range of 3 that can occasionally confuse an enemy, is probably its worst skill and is still useful. The second skill, Fire Breath, inflicts Frizz Breath damage to all enemies. And the third skill is Burning Fireball, which inflicts Frizz Breath damage to one enemy and occasionally lowers breath resistance for 3 turns. This is where it works really well with dragons on top of it. Its leadership effect increases Frizz Breath power by 10%. The leadership effect right now sounds good, but for dragon users, Dimensional Dragon will be coming now pretty confidently in mid to late November. That's going to be where we're going to get breath damage 20% for all dragons. Doesn't help with the Terrahawk, but still, Terrahawk can work very well with the dragons as well, especially with the lowest breath resistance, and does better than the Forest Dragon because it's such a slow unit. While this unit is pretty good at 400 agility. Still only 2 movement, but it's good there. The one thing that I like about this is it can increase its own breath attack if it uses a breath attack. And you can stack it a little bit. It is well designed, especially for an A. Your people who are going to be summoning are probably going to be focusing more on this. This is an A unit. You're not going to go, dang it, I really only want the S unit. This A unit is actually going to be very useful. You're going to want to add another element of breath, and you've got a lot of those right now, so it's nice that you can stack it there. Zap or Zam is probably your best bet. But all in all, for an A summon unit on the best S summon unit, this is pretty surprisingly good. Alright, now we're going to go to the farmable units here. First one is Keifer. Keifer is a hero class and is going to be one of the best A units in the game. Not surprising. It has its own fourth skill, so you can't teach it a skill. Flame Strike is okay. Ragnar's is a better one to me. but hits inflicts frizz damage 90% 3 times and can lower defense strength. Um, First skill is Best of the World. It greatly increases defense power of a unit. Can be hit self or 2 spaces across. Wind Strike is his next skill, 180% whoosh damage to one enemy. Last is Frizz Strike, which inflicts 165 Frizz physical damage to all enemies in the T-range fan. Nice AoE there. Its leadership effect can actually be nice, increasing hero defense by 15%. Um, which, especially in PvE, you can use. This is farmable. It is actually only farmable via the drops during the Dragon Quest VII event. It's not like you're going to be farming him in a specific area. So he's pretty easy in that regard. It's going to cost over 30,000 tokens, but it's his level 100 stats. They are stacked. 3 movement, 900 HP, 327 defense, 461 attack. His stats are comparable at level 100 to some S units at 110. So for an A unit, weight 35, very, very good unit. Highly, highly suggest get him to level 5. The next one is Cumulus Vex. Pretty nice name. This one is not as good, but it's still a pretty good unit. It's an inorganic. Its leadership effect increases inorganic martial damage by 10%. Martial prep increases the physical strength of or martial strength, I should say, by 1.5 times for 1 turn. So he can store an energy. He has vacuum collision, which inflicts martial whoosh damage on all enemies and moves those enemies 2 squares back. He can also multi-heal. So his stats are pretty good overall. The only problem is that I really wish his wisdom was higher, his attack was much lower, but because the martial, you're going to be using vacuum collision a lot, push people back. He can multi-heal, but it's not going to heal as much as a lot of other skills are going to be. But still, for a summonable, or not summonable, this is a farmable unit. This is very, very, very good farmable over there. Suggestion here is just go debuffs here, like lowered attack, defense, or dazzle. That's kind of the importance here. If you want another elemental attack, put it martial damage, but honestly, vacuum collision, you're not going to want anything else other than that. But he's still a good unit as well, so both of the farmable units are top notch. The other farmable units, we have the Puristigator, and I'm not going to try to say that again, but Purr is someone that you can get at the Dark Palace. Drag Racer, great, another top name from DQ7 here. 14th floor of the Talos Tower, which we'll talk about next. Jade Dragon, Cave of Deadland, Grenade at 11th floor at the Talos Tower, Aubergine and Woebegone, 12th and 11th floor respectively. So the suggestion here is we're going to farm for Cumulus here, then farm for Drag Racer, and then you're going to go Grenade and Woebegone. Then you'll farm some of the others. Purr is a decent unit as well, but Drag Racer is used a lot more, and then Grenade you can farm both that and Woebegone together, which I think is a little bit more important than Puristigator. Alright, now we are to the DQ7 weapons and armor. All honesty, I'm a little disappointed that we don't have a large amount of armor and weapons to get in this one because it is a big event. But we get 4 good weapons and 1 armor. The first weapon, Tenma Ono, it's from the Orgodemir boss battle. Not the big boss battle. And yes, that's right, guys. We're going to have a big boss battle. And it is going to act differently as well. But it is from the Orgodemir boss battle. You'll have int plus 20 intelligence or wisdom 28 Zam spell 5%. Alchemy Zam, horrible impact in HP. The second one is the Sword of Oceans from the Dark Palace. HP plus 45, attack plus 14. Alchemy is HP, attack, agility, and crackle physical power. Wolf Claws is for Ruff. Attack plus 11, agility plus 17. Whoosh physical tower plus 4. Alchemy is whoosh physical, Fenrir attack and attack, and you can get this from the tallest tower. And the Makaba wand is for Maribel. Primarily Wisdom 22, first spell plus 4%. Alchemy is first spell, Purgatory, and MP, which is her finishing skill. The last one is the Ogon Tiara, which we get from the boss battle. So from the Orgodemir boss battle, the big boss battle. MP plus 14, defense plus 8, with curse resist plus 10%. Alchemy is curse resist and bang resist and MP. It's okay, but it's armor. Armor in this game's not nearly as good as weapons, so take it as you will. Fragments to get, basically we've got 30,000 question marks, 30,000 hero fragments, so at 100 apiece, so that is 3,000, 3,000, and Keifer requires 30,900 to get all 5 hearts. So right there, the main portion is 36,000, and if you get the other important ones, aka the summon tickets and all of that, you're looking at roughly 45,000 fragments to get. But remember, this is a 5 to 6 week event, so you will have plenty of time to get that. But Keifer is going to be the main drain on this. But he is very much worth it. At the very least, if you need him to can only get him to 4 hearts, that 30,900 goes down to just under 10,000, or just over 10,000. Sorry, to get there, 10,900, 20,000 to get him to 5 hearts, and that's going to be the biggest drain on all of your resources. So let's just go quickly to the tallest tower in the world. As I say, in Japan, we had 35 days. Roughly 35 days. There will be 20 floors total. The last 5 stages are the hardest stages, just like the previous tower that we had. Floors 1 through 15 will drop keys to the giant boss battle. You need 3 keys for each fight. You're going to be farming here for the most part, and I'm hoping that we get the same here in Japan, where there was a very large experience up here. This was really, really useful to get units to level up there. But in all honesty, we are getting this about a month earlier than Japan, so the difficulty level is going to be much harder than the Halloween. The Halloween, though, we were about 2 to 3 months before we were supposed to, or after we were supposed to get it. So do be careful of a shock in the difference in difficulty here. The tallest tower in the world isn't going to be as hard as some of the others, but 16 through 20 will require your best teams to beat them. I won't go through them in detail. There's just too much to go through. But the CP should end at around roughly 20,000. And actually, I think the last battle isn't too bad, other than it's just a level. Check. Alright, let's talk about the super boss battle. Demon King, or Orgodemir. normally we have hard and very hard. Here, there's going to be 20 floors total, so you're going to climb up in difficulty. I do prefer this than the hard, very hard. I honestly was very lazy, especially the huge difference between hard and very hard. This one's going to be more gradual. I will. It just feels better to me this way. I think I would. I do like this overall. You do need to beat each floor before moving on. But it's just like the other big boss. If you die, you just get it down to wherever you get it there, and then you move on. Each floor obviously will get more difficult. His great weakness is fire and wind. And here are the units down below. What I'm going to be using most likely is going to be a team that's probably going to be overkilling machine. But you want to be able to do AoE for your three. Seraphie makes life much easier overall because you can use her to heal and also to buff up the overall attack on your team. And then you're going to want a tank. And Armor Scorpion is probably your best bet. Or Ghost Elephant. Or not Ghost Elephant, sorry. Leery Lantern. Ghost Elephant is the translation from JP. It's going to be hard for me to break that one, sorry. That's going to be most likely the team. It kind of depends if I get Ruff and how much I get Ruff. But that's probably going to be the team. My White King is S5 and level 110. My only concern is he is going to get absolutely destroyed. So it's just... Stark is going to be able to attack all five, very important. Even though it's going to be a dark skill, he does not have the dark skill, so that's still a-okay to use. Overkilling Machine is going to be attacking with Frizz, which will be great with the 3 AoE there, so that will be very helpful. And then it's got to be between White King here with his weakness and high spell, but very low survivability. Now, also, we will be getting to the next rank on top of that, so there will be rank up, but I will be focusing on my Overkilling Machine and his Stark. And maybe we can also throw in my Dragon Lord 2 True Form. The third attacker is the one that I still haven't fully set on yet. But Seraphie or a healer, I have Kirill and I also have Pastry Knight. And a tank, really the best two is Armor Scorpion and Leery Lantern. So if you have those, what you can do is you can put the tank in the middle, absorb the hits. Seraphie, especially if you have Seraphie, can heal one of the two tanks, and then you just go to town on Demon King. Fairly easy setup. You do have to move. It has a large array of skills, etc. But all in all, at least there's a decent amount, and even Keifer does a very good job as well. It's just he has the ability to also do a nice AoE as well. So even a little later on, if you are lacking in certain... Get Keifer up there, he will help out with a lot of damage as well as a free-to-play who is equivalent to a lot of these S units, especially with the great weakness and the main skills that he has. So, very useful there. This is fun. This is... I feel much better designed. There's going to be less of a shock going from one level to the other. And overall, you'll have 5 to 6 weeks of farming. And I think a lot more people are going to get a lot more items on this than they did on all the other boss battles. And I just want to say Enix and everybody, well done. I do do really like this. Version overall. Oh, and now we're going to get to one of the two main uh, dungeons, challenges, I don't know. And these aren't boss battles. I'm not even talking about the boss battles today. That's how much there is to go through. It's crazy. But this is the Mysterious Stone Plates. Each area will have a boss to beat, similar to DQ4. There are specific limits on each battle, and actually each area has really two bosses or two boss battles to beat at different levels as well. So it does make it a bit more challenging. But unlike DQ4, if you use a overkilling machine on one, you can use it on other battles as well, as long as you don't have to worry about the weight trials. So there are some where you can only use X weight overall. Systematic or family trials, like there's a beast trial, so you can only use the beast family. Those are actually going to be the toughest for some people. There are time limit trials, aka 3 turns, 5 turns only, and there's attribute trials as well. Those aren't really limited to anything, but they are all have different attributes that they generally focus on. Alright, and here we're going to just talk about each battle here in a little bit of detail, units to suggest, and placement. You can kind of increase, especially with Keifer 225. This is pretty free to play friendly, quote unquote. It does use some higher end gear, which is still farmable. Hellion is one of the important ones, and the least free to play friendly, quote unquote, but from an A unit you should have a couple of them at the very least. And the Arbor Scorpion here is, or not Scorpion, sorry, Rhinoceros is a little harder to get as well. And you can mix and match with other tanks if required, but this was the, I would say, lowest level that you can get to successfully win. All in all here, these units, and honestly, the Cub Scout here, and Hellion, and Khan, and are going to be kind of our main units that we're going to use a lot of here. The 150 is a little harder, just because you have a little less flexibility. These units, though, are not nearly as hard to get. As I say, Hellion's been around since the beginning. That it should be possible with these teams for most people here. But especially with the 225, people who have better units than this can pick and choose as long as they stay under 225. But these were able to complete all missions in JP when that happened. So the next one here is the Cave of Beast, or Demon Beasts, if you do the direct translation. Claude is going to be the hardest one of the 5 to get. This one does require, these are going to be the toughest ones overall, I feel. Now if you have Draguar, you can use Draguar instead, and you can use that instead of the Saber Cat here. But this is, as I say, was able to be beat in Japan using this team. These were, though, at all A6, so it is not exactly as super friendly, but it is definitely possible with this team. Cave of Nature, though, that was actually a lot harder. This unit is farmable in the game, but it is a relatively low drop. And then, honestly, this is the one that I think I'll be okay depending on how strong I can get my Squidzilla to get. He is currently only S4. I will have to get him to S5 for this trial. And I might have to plug in another unit here. But you can see the initial placements, and then if there's any questions, please ask them down below. I'll try to help. The mysterious stone plates. There's also a cave of slime. Slime heart is obviously going to be important here. There is a split, and honestly, this is a fairly friendly team. The only problem is, obviously, if you weren't here for the Slime Heart, you are going to be in a world of hurt without Slime Heart or Lime Slime. But all in all, this one I'm not as worried about, obviously, because I have a very powerful Slime Heart. But you can also, if you do have Seraphy, you can limp along and finish with Seraphy, because she is just an incredibly powerful healing slime, and then just use your best slimes overall there. If you have Lionheart and not Lime Slime, then switching up with Seraphy would be very much there, very doable. But these three you guys should be able to have at least at 5, if not A or B6 at the very least. And remember, B7, rank 7's coming up too during 2.0 during this one too, so you can raise those levels up as well. Cave of Demons. I do not have him from Marachi yet. He is quote-unquote farmable, but I will be farming him during the Cave of Arachi during the 2.0 because the stamina will be given back if we fail. The rest of these units are, these two are gacha based. We just finished doing that, and that's story based. Kind of the best team that I can come up with for you guys that can beat this level. It is good. This is another one that I personally am a little worried about due to my limited unit sizes for those teams. And the last for the stone plates is a cave of 5 turns and 3 turns, as in you've got turn limits. Zoma did really, really good, especially taking out the big unit with the big ice attack. Zoma isn't required, but is helpful. Hybrid is also very, very nice for just the speed. This was kind of more of a speed base overall, but all in all, you could pick and choose. Just try and choose similar elements along the lines if you need more power and or different units. Oh, and a Cave of Fire Darkness. I forgot about this one. It's actually not super bad. You do want a tank, and it's just going to basically go there. All in all, it's not super bad, and these units are relatively gettable fairly easily. Obviously, some are gacha, but no S units, and you can always improve these units if required. Just step them up, but this should be able to beat them as well. So now we have the Dark Palace. So we have the Cave of Fire, a Cave of Wind. There are a few others. This one you can get the Sword of Oceans from beating it. Nice weapon overall. The Cave of Fire we have here. Basically replace these two, Keifers here. Instead of the dragon, because that was actually a dragon that we could have gotten during the dragon event, which was actually before this in Japan. Instead, I put Keifer in here as a suggestion. Obviously, you can bring those up higher if you so choose. Cave of Wind, you have a fairly similar team as a lot of others. This one's just a frizz user. You can just use someone else, but this was beatable with that. Alright, the Cave of Water. Similar style units, placements up there. Cave of the Dead. Had to replace this unit here. I replaced it with Bone Baron. Obviously, you can upgrade. Here's just the solution to some of the issues here if needed. Actually, and if you want him on, you can have him there instead. Just some suggestions. Overall, as I say, there's a lot to do, but it's at least 35 days. We're at least looking at 5 weeks. Last but not least, we have 2 new battle roads. The first 2 weeks will be Keifer Road. So we have all the new units on top here. This is the only gotcha unit. The rest are farmable. And we have old units here with Golem here, and the other 3 all being world units. And the last one here is Cumulus Vex, which we will get in a couple weeks. With Orgodemir True Form coming out first, and Pink Panzer, and then we'll have the other 2. The other units here are farmable, and then we have 5 units. Down below. 4 of them are farmable, and 1 is gotcha. With the battle roads, with the old units, remember we are going to be able to get them to level 7. So if you have the materials available, upgrading them and leveling them up in the battle road will be nice, as you can just get them up to final levels there. So this was incredibly long. I am going to put these in chapters down below. This is pretty exciting. There is going to be a lot to do. Please don't feel overwhelmed. If you got any questions, please ask down below. Please like and subscribe. You can also catch me on Twitch. My name's obviously Matt Guru on Twitch. Thank you, everybody. I will see you later. It's time for me to be making more videos to keep you on track for Dragon Quest VII. Good night, y'all.